Welcome to a guide on the new OP support. Forget your Lulus and your freshers. Welcome to the League of Susan. Why would you support with Nasus, aside from his dashing good looks and obvious charisma? Watch this vain attempt to kite, even move, because they stupidly do not take cleanse. Nasus has great armour shred, which both he and the AD carry utilise, and an incredibly potent movement and attack speed slow. It's essentially a more overpowered Nunu Ice Blast. Nasus's passive allows him more sustain than you anticipate, providing you can auto-attack those creeps for free from harass. His Wither allows him to easily set up jungle ganks, so even if you're struggling in lane, you can almost always make sure a summoner spell or two is used. The main downside is that he can get bullied by range supports, and it can be hard to properly utilise his armour shred considering it's only confined to the circle. If you spam the Wither Spirit Fire combo, you'll go out of mana quickly, which is why it's best to use that combination when you go all in. It just takes a little practice, and his utility vastly outweighs any disadvantages you can see in lane. Much like jungle Nasus, the farm on your siphoning strike is not necessarily the most important thing, because your other three abilities far outweigh the riskiness of going top lane and trying to farm. You should use your Spirit Fire to harass, and make sure your AD carrier auto-attacks them during this period to ensure maximum damage. It reduces the target's armour by 20 at level 1, ensuring that auto-attacks do a lot of damage. Another good tip is to pink their side bush to stop them harassing you as much, so there is a knowledge gap and you can freely harass them when you want. It can also set up jungle ganks if a previous bush is not warded. Nasus is actually pretty decent at early pressure, especially if the opposing carry starts with a Doran's Blade without any lifesteal quints or without specking into the utility tree very much. If they don't take cleanse, then Wither makes it incredibly easy to win trades against champions who rely on auto-attacking in lane. And let's be honest here, we all know that Piltover Peacemaker hit. And remember that during the laning phase, the best support students will tell their AD carry that the enemy support is a free kill, and thus bait them into their certain deaths, while strolling away himself. Pro tip, you'll gain more league points at the end of a match if you shout worth in capitals in all chat for no apparent reason. Susan has easily the best dance in the game. It works great at making the enemy so angry they send all their manpower to no avail. This is an effective tactic when your team wants to split push. Taunting the enemy support regarding the fact you have an infinite amount more CS than them is a great idea. Talking about making the team angry, this fiddle clearly understood he needed to camper support Nasus lane because he is so incredibly overpowered. He clearly has some underlying issues he needs to sort out with a big dog though. Just look! He gets so angry he fails his flash. But, you know what Aesop says, pride comes before a flash. Teamfighting is pretty easy with support Nasus because you just need to Wither and Spirit Fire whoever is attacking your carries. Turn on your ult as soon as possible because there is a 3 to 5% max health to magic damage ratio per second, which makes you deal a surprising amount of damage for support, especially if you've been farming your siphoning strike on those tasty wards. Your ultimate also increases your attack range by 50 whilst boosting your HP at the same time. Buying tank CDR items like Shurelya's and Locket of the Iron Solari is a necessity on support Nasus because you can bring his Wither cooldown to 6.6 seconds with max CDR, which gives it a downtime of only 1.67 seconds on targets who do not have tenacity. If you buy boots and mobility, you can use your abilities to easily catch out your opposition with a carefully aimed Wither. Siphoning Strike resets your auto attack animation, and if you last hit a ward of it, it will stack it. If you're playing against Sivir, note that Siphoning Strike does not proc her spell shield, so feel free to use it when her shield is up. The armour debuff from Spirit Fire lasts for 1 second after leaving the target area. If your AD carrier is taking cleanse against you, you should probably consider maxing Spirit Fire first because it will presumably cancel the Wither. When cleanse is on cooldown, you should put more points into Wither. Nasus' ult actually converts 6.375% of the ultimate damage to his own attack damage stat for the duration of the ultimate. Note this ability does not pop spell shields. Also, the health you gain from your ult is not affected by an ignite or any other healing debuff and can be used to bait people incredibly effectively. For my runes, I like to take flat armour marks and seals, gold per 10 quints, and a combination of flat and scaling magic resist glyphs. I take flat armour marks because armour penetration or physical damage is negligible until you all in them because you are not ranged. I like armour seals over gold seals because it gives you added tankiness early game and helps against ranged supports who will often use their auto attacks to harass you. The glyphs give you extra help against characters like Lulu and Sona who deal heavy amounts of magic damage during the laning phase. I like to take 1 point in Summoner's Wrath if I'm taking Exhaust because it reduces the target champion's armor and magic resist by 10. If I'm running Ignite, it will give me 5 AP and 5 AD while on cooldown. If I don't use either of these summoner spells, you should change your point to somewhere else such as Tenacious or Juggernaut or Defense Tree. I like taking as much armor and health as possible whilst making sure to reduce the damage taken from champions. This is especially important because you are melee. Extra mana regen and gold is nice, along with a 60-second ward and the biscuit. Make sure to reduce the cooldown of your summoner spells. Whether you take Ghost or Flash on Susan is personal preference, but I prefer Ghost for extra chasing power.